Another interesting addition to the Wildcats basketball roster. Let's get to the news. But first, subscribe to the channel to receive more Kentucky news. Chase Lumpkin's return to Lexington reinforces a feeling that's already spreading behind the scenes at Kentucky basketball. Mark Pope and his coaching staff are building a solid bridge with some of the country's top talent, and prospects are answering that call. The presence of the four-star shooting guard from the class of 2027 at Rupp Arena for the second time in just over a month is no casual move. It's an indication that mutual interest is deepening. Lumpkin, a player from the traditional McEachern in Georgia, will closely follow the duel against UNC in the SEC/ACC Challenge, a stage that often captures the imagination of young prospects. He had already felt the Kentucky vibe in October when he witnessed the Wildcats' resounding victory over Purdue in an exhibition game. That day, he saw Pope's team impose rhythm, intensity, and a clear collective identity, elements that, according to him, made him feel very comfortable from the first moment. What's striking about this story isn't just Lumpkin's evident talent. Ranked the 59th best prospect in the country by the Rivals Industry ranking and the 44th best shooting guard in the 2027 class. What truly sustains the narrative is how Kentucky, under Pope, is reclaiming characteristics that have always defined its best moments: ambition, vision, and closeness to players who see Lexington as a real path to development. Jason Hart, Pope's right-hand man in recruitment, has been the closest figure to Lumpkin. His frequent visits to the athlete school are a portrait of a meticulous process that doesn't just try to convince. It tries to understand. Lumpkin knows this. He spoke openly about his relationship with Hart and how he views Mark Pope's system, an environment where his game wouldn't be limited, where he would have the freedom to create, attack, and express himself as a player. This point is crucial. In an increasingly competitive recruitment landscape, top prospects seek not only tradition, but also clarity and compatibility. Lumpkin feels he can be himself in Pope's system. This in itself puts Kentucky at an advantage. The young shooting guard also demonstrates maturity in recognizing that his game goes beyond scoring. He knows he needs to build his playmaking ability, learn to involve his teammates more, and become a well-rounded player, exactly the kind of self-criticism that coaches like Mark Pope value. And it is precisely because he sees himself evolving within this environment that he says he is eager to officially return. There is still no formal offer from the University of Kentucky, but considering the recent pattern of interest, visits, and dialogue, the scenario seems to be naturally moving in that direction. Pope has shown a willingness to anticipate moves, identify ideal players for his system, and create bonds that go beyond a phone conversation. Chase Lumpkin's new visit doesn't guarantee anything, but it signals a lot. It shows that Kentucky continues to be a magnetic destination for talents who want to compete at the highest level. It shows that Pope is aligned with the new dynamics of recruitment. And above all, it shows that the Wildcats are reclaiming their space as a national benchmark for young people aspiring to the next step. If the present already shows promising signs, the future takes on even more interesting contours when prospects like Lumpkin begin to look at Lexington with eyes of real possibility. Let's see what Pope is planning for the future. Will Stein's arrival at Kentucky football spark one of those moments where the digital barometer of sports, Twitter, reveals much more than simple instant reactions? It reveals state of mind, accumulated expectations, and above all, the perception that the program in Lexington has officially entered a new era. In less than 24 hours after the dismissal of Mark Stoops, one of the longest-serving coaches in the SEC, Kentucky announced that its new leader will be the offensive coordinator from Oregon, responsible for one of the most potent and innovative offenses in the country. The speed of the decision alone would be news. Its content transformed the environment. Stein, at 36 years old, arrives with the stamp of an elite offensive strategist. His recent work with Bo Nix and Dylan Gabriel, both Heisman finalists, is a credential that few young coordinators on the national scene possess. The evolution of these quarterbacks, combined with the explosive performance of the Ducks' offense, has solidified his name as one of the most promising of the next generation of coaches. Kentucky saw this upward trend and seized the opportunity to redefine its identity, style, and ambition. Unsurprisingly, the reaction from fans on social media is marked by almost unanimous optimism and enthusiasm. After 13 years of philosophy based on defense, clock control, and pragmatism, Kentucky fans now see the prospect of a team willing to attack, dictate the pace, and compete for offensive talent with any program in the country. Some describe the change as drastic, but the environment interpreted this change as necessary. The SEC has transformed, and Kentucky has decided to transform itself as well. Influencers, analysts, and insiders joined the chorus of praise. Mentions of quarterback development, one of Stein's strongest trademarks, gained immediate prominence. Many highlighted that, at a time when recruitment decisions and movements on the transfer portal are approaching, Kentucky gains a powerful argument, playing for a coach who knows how to maximize his quarterback's talent and build elite offenses. The choice also generated a certain national admiration for the way the process was conducted. As Nick Roush commented, the most fascinating part of the search for a new coach in Kentucky is that it took them longer to fire Mark Stoops than to hire Will Stein. In a competitive and fast-paced market, this agility reveals conviction, planning, and an understanding of the moment. Among the most widely shared comments was that of Brett Austin Taylor. A great loss for the Ducks, but an excellent acquisition for Kentucky. This contrast well summarizes the general sentiment. Oregon loses a strategic piece at a crucial moment. So much so that, according to Pete DeMel, Stein will continue to lead the Ducks' offense during the CFP. Kentucky, on the other hand, gains a rising leader, willing to steer the program to an unprecedented level offensively. If there's one thing Twitter makes clear, it's that Kentucky fans see Stein not just as a replacement for Stoops, but as a symbol of structural change, a courageous bet on creativity, modernity, and ambition. There are uncertainties, as in any transition, but the general tone is not one of caution. It's one of expectation, of renewed energy, of a fan base that feels something new is beginning, and this time with the promise of an offensive explosion that seemed distant in Lexington for years. If the future lives up to the enthusiasm that has taken over social media, Kentucky may have found not only a new coach, but a new path. And from what we've seen in the last few hours, that path is already beginning with a fan base in a state of positive combustion. There were many opinions, but the majority supported a new coach in Kentucky. What did you think? Leave your comments. Jaden Quaintance, a player whose name echoes in conversations about the future of the NBA draft, even though he's been away from the court for 9 months, is a rare phenomenon, and perhaps that's what most fascinates Kentucky Wildcats fans. Even though his absence has been felt in this tumultuous start to the season, the mere mention of his return generates a wave of optimism in Lexington. Quaintance, once a bright prospect at Arizona State University, arrived in Kentucky with the aura of someone who could change the fate of a program. His ability to alter dynamics on the court was evident during his brief stint at Arizona State, where at 17 he already demonstrated impressive numbers, averages of 9.4 points, 7.9 rebounds, and 3.7 steals/blocks per game. For such a young freshman, these numbers not only caught the attention of scouts, but also solidified his position as an elite prospect. However, the anterior cruciate ligament injury in February abruptly interrupted that upward trajectory. Now, while recovering under care of Kentucky's medical staff, Quaintance remains shrouded in speculation and projections. Recent updates from coach Mark Pope indicate steady progress, but his return to court still seems to be a matter of strategic patience. And while caution is necessary, it's impossible to ignore the impact his presence could have when he finally dons a Wildcats uniform. Quaintance's inclusion among the top 10 players in the 2026 draft projections even without playing this season, is a testament to his exceptional talent. Analysts like ESPN's Jeremy Wu highlight his unique qualities: a center capable of spacing the floor, creating opportunities in transition, and functioning as a defensive wall. However, Wu also points out limitations, such as a lack of consistency in his long-range shooting and the absence of refined offensive skills for a player in his position. These aspects are important, but they don't diminish the transformative potential Quaintance could have upon his return. For Kentucky, Quaintance's arrival to the active team could represent more than just a technical boost. He embodies the type of player who can unify a team searching for identity. With Malachi Moreno emerging as a key player currently, the combination of Moreno's adaptable youth and Quaintance's stellar potential creates an intriguing scenario. It will be interesting to see how Mark Pope orchestrates this transition, balancing Moreno's development with Quaintance's reintegration into the starting lineup. Furthermore, Quaintance's return could bring a significant emotional dimension to the roster. College teams often thrive when they have central figures around whom they can build their collective identity. If Quaintance can regain his physical and mental form after his injury, he has everything it takes to become that undisputed leader. Someone who not only elevates the individual level of his teammates, but also inspires confidence in critical moments. Wildcats fans, naturally, are eager to see him in action. Quaintance's injury was an unforeseen setback, but also brought with it the opportunity to shape a story of overcoming adversity. When he steps onto the court again, he will be more than just a player returning from injury. He will be a symbol of resilience and determination, qualities intrinsic to Kentucky's competitive spirit. Meanwhile, it's up to the team to keep moving forward, honing their game and building the foundations for a promising future. Mark Pope's work in keeping the group focused, even in the face of difficulties, will be crucial in this process. When Quaintance finally debuts, he won't be joining a lost or disorganized team, but rather a collective that has already learned to fight against adversity. For now, Kentucky lives in a limbo of expectation, but with Malachi Moreno shining in the present and Jaden Quaintance promising to illuminate the future, there are enough reasons to believe that the Wildcats will go far. Leave your opinion.